So welcome everyone to the first episode, the inaugural episode of the Immigrant Education Collaborative Podcast. And I have a very special guest to kick off the very first episode, Mr. Anthony Nsofor. Anthony is a renowned artist. He's a Renaissance man of sorts. He's multi-talented. So he paints, he draws, photography, he writes. He's just a Swiss Army knife. So Anthony, thank you so much for taking the time out to allow us to come to your studio and to just have this conversation about how you got to where you are.
Thank you, Derek. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be here.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to get started, man. So we met, and the thing that I really enjoyed about meeting you is this energy that you had, right? And you had this energy of just being at peace, being fulfilled, and just this human, authentic aspect that it just came alive. And that really, it touched me, it resonated with me. And so right away I was curious, as an artist, like, how did you come to be,
Well, I believe strongly it was with affirmations, and that also adds to a fact of being very contemplative, being conscious of spaces and your development and your growth, all that happens around you.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, I was 4 years old, and at that age where I start becoming more and more aware of being part of humanity,
mm-hmm. Okay.
And I noticed that there were my grandfather's house. Growing up, my parents used to make it a point of duty to go back to the village,
mm-hmm.
and for Christmas.
Okay.
And so it was really special because people come from all over the world for Christmas in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
It's a thing. It's our biggest holiday,
mm-hmm.
and all of that. And my grandfather had this artwork in his living room,
mm-hmm.
made by my uncle,
okay.
who strangely had also, he trained in a school here in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, he studied as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So he made some portraits. He made a portrait of my dad,
mm-hmm.
pencil on paper, and a few other artwork where he was drawing from realism.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow. And it seemed like something I could connect with, because I'd been saying to myself, what about replicating what I see?
Mm-hmm.
So I got fascinated, and so I started with my pencil.
Okay.
But it changed also my vision. Other people, all the people around me, they were, my peers were drawing from cartoons,
mm-hmm.
Comic books and all of that. It was the thing.
Right.
So I guess nobody really thought I was even doing anything significant at that point in time, because in retrospect, some of my contemporaries who went to high school and all that, they say, oh, I didn't know you were this good in primary school. I didn't know, because I wasn't creating the kind of work they were interested in.
Right.
Everyone wanted to see Superman and Spider-Man and all of that.
Right.
Me, I was just drawing family members, my mom, my dad, family from photographs, family photographs and all that. So that was the beginning. The trigger was really around trying to own stuff, trying to replicate what I see, and finding that it seems like maybe I have some of this gift in it. I have some of this. It was enjoyable to find out that I got very close to drawing this realism.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that feedback coming from my mom, for instance. She also had a lot of talents.
Mm-hmm.
She was one person that made me feel it's possible to maybe it's in my blood. So
Okay. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
you feel that connection when
Right.
you see members of your family doing stuff that you think, you know, you would like to do.
Right, right.
And my mom would draw it from, you know, all these biology books. She had old biology books from high school and all that,
Okay.
where she would make drawings with one line, no eraser and all that. It
Yeah.
looked so perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a lot of all these, like, trying to ascribe to this perfection from an early age.
Right, right.
Just being exposed to it and challenging myself.
Yeah.
Can you do this?
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
so there were triggers. They
Yeah.
were really triggers that I enjoyed, and it felt good when I started getting the nods of, oh, you did a good job.
Yeah.
You know, those small nuggets,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
priceless. Because without them, I don't think I would have been here.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
my family, you know, people that I really think highly about, you know, that I really love, affirming that this seems like something you can do. You know, it's priceless.
Yeah.
And nobody can change it for me. Nobody that comes into my life in the future can really change it. If I have had, where you already know that parents are the first and primary teachers of their children.
Yeah.
If you realize that, they become your mentors, they become the first men, the first women you ever see in your life. That picture is in my head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nobody can come over that
Absolutely.
and change it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that experience that you had where you kind of within your home, you know, your uncle draws, your mom is drawing, and I didn't know that before. I knew your uncle did,
Yeah,
but I didn't
yeah,
realize that
yeah.
your mom also.
She was
Yeah, so
fantastic.
it's almost like your birthright to create art, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the earliest memory you would say that you had of feeling sort of like you found your, like one of your superpowers?
Well, you know, when you say superpower, I realized it's like flow, getting into your flow. I realized that that was the only thing I didn't stammer in. I didn't shake while doing it.
Yeah.
And maybe it came, maybe I was really small.
Yeah.
1979, maybe
Yeah.
I was 4 years.
Yeah.
I had started watching, my dad would come with movies of Bible stories and all of that. And suddenly I had this energy where I had this imagination where I would see in the clouds. I would look into the clouds and I would see like Pharaoh in his chariot. I would see Moses and all of that. It was, I could figure out their faces, you know, with the beards and all of that, the hair and all of that. And I'll tell my friends that we're playing together, I'll tell them, can't you see? Can't you see? Look.
Yeah.
They'll say, no. And then I'll draw it in the sand.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll just draw it in the sand. See, look. Can you see? They say, you know, and it was exciting to think that I was seeing a little bit extra beyond what seemed obvious to me. You know, other people were looking at the same thing, but they weren't seeing it. And I said, okay, this is special. You know, I enjoyed that point. But knowing that I had this ability to see a little bit more just by looking, I don't know how come it happened, right?
Right.
I said, okay, I can own that. But then it grew to where I suddenly, people started enjoying my realism. And they would be like, how much would this cost? And then I'm like, whoa, did they want to pay for this that I enjoyed doing?
Right.
I put a price. And they bought. And
Yeah.
then they bought. And then I realized also that it's something to be pursued. My uncle studied as an artist,
Right.
but at some point he stopped, you know. He migrated, he came to the US, and at some point he stopped.
Yeah.
He was painting at home and all of that, so
Yeah.
he has work. But I felt strongly that I've always felt that everything counts from my earliest memories as a child till today.
Right.
It counts. And if I have been training all my entire life and I go to high school and I go into university and all of that to study something, I should follow it up, make it count, not go back on it and say, this is not working for me. No, my own has always been about growth.
Yeah.
You know, building on it. And so I said, I can own this thing. And funny enough, at some point, my parents, you know, it's the same narrative where at the time where everybody wants you to become a lawyer or a medical doctor, you know, some of these.
Yeah.
And I chose. I actually had a conversation with my dad. And it's so much how much family can speak into your story. So I had this other uncle of mine who is really famous as a musician back in Nigeria. His name is Charlie Boy. And he is the first son of a very distinguished judge in Nigeria who became a Supreme Court judge, who is referenced, is really, and his dad let him continue on his path as a musician.
Right.
So when I was even in high school, it was, I don't know what it was, but my principal in high school would call us for meetings, call the entire school for meetings, and as one of the talks that he gives, he would try to inspire us to do whatever we want to do, and that it's not even about what your parents and all of that, whatever. He will use this, my uncle, as a reference point. That, look at him, that he grew up this way, you know, his dad was a fantastic jurist and all of that, but he was allowed by his dad to do this. I guess maybe this also helped get my dad off my hair, because I'm the first son, and and my dad also, you know, I would have inherited his chambers, but so when it came to choosing a career and all that, I knew what he wanted. I said to him, okay, I'm going, because I knew I could do it. I said, I'm going to study to fine and applied arts in university, and after that, if you want, I'll go study law. So, you know,
this was the deal.
You know, he wasn't pressing. I knew his mindset, because before I was 10 years old, I was reading law books by Thomas Jefferson. I had read Learned Hand by Thomas Jefferson at 10 years old. So I was going through his law books in his library before I was in 13 years old and all that. So I already knew, and literature was something I suddenly started flowing in. Became very, like, my word flow and all that. He gave me a dictionary when I did very well in I was maybe about 7 years old. That was the gift I got from my dad. Words, you know. But when the time came, I told him, okay, I'm gonna do this. I was fortunate because I'm the second born. The first is my sister. So obviously she became the lawyer. She became the lawyer, and I was in University of Nigeria and Nsukka studying to become a fine artist. And my sister had been practicing as a lawyer. She's a few years older than I am. And my dad saw. So when I graduated, my sister had already practiced for a while. I came to my dad at some point, you know, that I was bored. I was like, okay, maybe this is something extra I could do. I said, okay, I'm done with studying as a painter and artist and all that. I could just go study for the law degree and all that. You know what he said to me? He said, no, that they don't pay very well. Because he saw also that I was earning more money than my sister.
Right, as an artist.
Yes, as an
Yeah.
artist, even as an undergraduate student.
Right.
Than my sister. And but even beyond that, he started seeing how I was thriving at what I love doing. He was the proudest man, because I started making portraits for
Right.
people in the village
Right.
when they want to have like special occasions, and if there is someone that has passed, so their funeral home,
Right,
they
right.
put a portrait. I
Yes.
would be the go-to person to make
Right,
the portrait of these distinguished
Yeah.
people, and my dad will be this proud
Yeah.
man. At that point, he was the commissioner for justice, which is like the DA, yeah, the DA of
Yeah.
my state.
Right.
And he would just put my painting
Yeah.
in the back of his car,
Yeah.
and we would drive slowly in the procession through the village.
Yeah. So everyone could see.
So everyone could see. So he started affirming.
Yes.
He started coming into it, but I kept insisting on it.
Yeah.
I think that was really key. But I was fortunate to see parents that listened, that saw.
Yeah.
Because I know so much more than any other thing that they see my potential more than I even see.
Right.
They will see it first. And identifying that in your kid is priceless.
Yes.
And allowing that to grow
Yes.
is priceless.
Yes.
They are prescient. These people, because of their genes and all that, they will see how I am a bit like this my uncle, I am a bit like this my auntie, I am a bit like them, and that the troubles, you will see it from looking at your children.
Right.
You will see these traits. And as a parent, it's just knowing and allowing that it's not by doing what you did that they're going to succeed. It's by doing what you think is best for them that they're going to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a beautiful sort of explanation of how you got here, and it seems like a lot of things fell into place for you, right? So in terms of having a nurturing environment that supported your talent and your interests, right? And the judge whose son is your pretty much your uncle's son, your cousin, who's the artist. That also, it's like, so you have examples of people being allowed to pursue their interests and their talents. So this is the question that I have for you. So all this was really to set you up for this, right? to back you into this corner, right? So
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, it was coming. It was inevitable.
You don't give up.
So it's all that to say, with that sort of fortuitous journey that you took, right, and where you are today, because again, what you represent to me is someone who is fulfilled in their work, but you're also able to express, your vision, your emotions in a few different mediums, right? So you don't just paint, you write, you draw. There are a lot of ways. You have a lot of outlets to kind of get this expression out, right? And to convey, different ideas and different sentiments that you have.
Yeah.
Do you think if you just went, let's say I'm not gonna say let's say, if you went ahead and got that law degree, like how would you have been able to balance, the artist side of you plus this side, which was kind of like almost like an outside expectation that you potentially might have internalized, right? Because you're in the home of someone who works in justice, and so the expectation could be something that you placed upon yourself. So what would life have been? This is a hypothetical. If you had gone down.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just switch on something. Switch on something. Let me modify what you said. I have not found fulfillment. I am seeking fulfillment.
Yes.
Continually in my work.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me modify. so that was implied in my question. I think your quest for fulfillment, right, also reflects the peace that you have as you seek fulfillment.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what I was trying to say. So when I see you, that's what you represent to me. You represent someone who's on their journey, evolving, seeking fulfillment, and you're at peace with that
Embracing
journey.
all of the process.
Right. So I'm connecting it to occupation, right? Because a lot of folks, as you know, we see them every day, they're in occupations for a myriad of reasons, right? But here you are doing kind of what you almost your birthright, what you enjoy doing the most. So that's really the context of it.
I have felt again and again that it was auspicious to be who I was, the son of a lawyer. There was this, because I believe strongly that sometimes our parents can be right in ways they don't know about stuff about us.
Right.
They might be even more accurate, but embracing all of the complexity of these ideas about growing up and all that is another level where you're fluid, understanding that your child is like a film that is developing, and a lot of things will come into play that you have never experienced as an adult, as a parent. He will come into a different worldview than yours,
right,
growing up and all that. So like I think strongly that being fluent and being conversational, being coherent in speaking about my work, it's almost like I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Every time I have an artwork in front of me and I have to defend it.
Right.
Why? The questions come again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm in the practice.
Yeah.
I think it becomes...
You're a defense attorney.
Exactly. No, totally.
Yeah.
It's
I get it.
It's about legitimizing content.
Right.
It's about... there is a phrase that is associated with lawyers. I don't know if it's same here, but it's when they say, I put it to you. Every time I put it to people, this is how stuff is.
Yeah.
I say, this is, it's a mindset. And the beauty of connecting it with being a lawyer is that it might not even be the fact, but it's the evidence.
Okay.
So, is this human? But the evidence.
Right.
I now start speaking, and sometimes you find the lawyer who wins a case not because he said the truth, but because some facts that he presented were solid.
Right.
So I think so strongly that that way of defending my work, of speaking into a presence, of bringing to life, of creating a scene, of allowing the jury to see it, of being questioned, interrogated, of interrogating your process and putting it out there and convincing them that this is it.
Yeah.
It's a mindset that the lawyer strives to do every time. So every time I think about myself, I say, well, what do you think I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing, but with my voice is different.
Right.
Like a musician is different from a painter.
Yeah. So the exhibit is your courtroom.
Totally. I see it that way.
Or your studio.
I see it that way. I see that I'm on the defense, I'm on the box, and they are interrogating me every time. I interrogate myself.
Right.
I
you put yourself on the stand.
Exactly. I put myself on the stand, and it's a vulnerable place, which now if we are drawing parallels with the defense system and all that, it's really it, because also how good I defend myself and all that means success or failure, means prestige, or I go home broke. So so it's I could embrace it. I could come and be at peace with knowing that if I am a forebear, if I continue from where my father had stopped, I'm doing the thing I should be doing.
Yeah. So let me say this. I think that's a great way of kind of expressing the environment that you were in, right? So really, it's a culmination of what you were exposed to, of the environment that you were around. You know what I mean? So you're around art and artists, you know, some of them professional, some of them not. And then you're also around, you know, folks who worked in the legal system.
I embraced my formation. I embraced home. I embraced family. I embraced
fully.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It was never, I didn't see conflict per se. Early on, it looked like I was on the other part of, but when I started having exhibitions, for instance, when I went into college, and my lecturers, when I had to defend my work, and that was the word they used. You know, in your final year thesis in college and all that, you defend your work. It came to me that that's what it is about. And let me tell you this story about.
And you were well prepared, by the way.
I was. You know, it's my birthright.
Absolutely.
And this happened, that defense. Let me tell you that this thing. They said, so in University of Nigerian, Nsukka, if you're about to graduate, you have a final year defense of your work.
Right.
And at that point, everybody just took it for granted. Oh, Anthony gives a good talk every time. And he gives a good talk every time. So they all came around for that moment when I would give the talk of talks. And I was like, I just saw they were, you know, my classmates, they had already finished their defense. Instead of going home so that I would stand with these professors and all that, they just wanted to hear from me.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm going to bust your bubble. I don't know. But I wanted to say one truth. They had expected I would have a very long thesis that I would present to score. But I made it very short. I said to my professors and everybody that all these years I have defended my work. I have felt it necessary to speak about my work and all that. But I have finally come to realize that if my work doesn't speak to you, then I have failed. Why should I say anything?
Right.
And everyone, and that was it.
Mic drop.
But that was where I found so much strength. Sometimes it's not really about what I'm saying, it's about what people experience from what you've done. You know, so your work starts speaking on your behalf. You know, so authenticity is no longer about how well you frame it, but the evidence is already there, and that evidence can't lie. You know, so I when I realized that aspect, I started focusing less on presenting well and more on packaging well, more on presenting fully. So when I use material, I'm thinking about the quality. I'm thinking that it's going to outlive me. I'm thinking that I really believe strongly in what I am putting out there. I look at ways to make it so that it could be preserved over a while. So it could speak truly about me. So that my ideas could be more coherent or become guiding points. You know.
So it's kind of like a deliberate, you know, authentic intention is what you try to be consistent with as you produce the work. So let me ask you this. So you're an art. Do you feel like you're an artist at heart? Like this is. Do you feel like you are who you are? Is, you know, like this is like you're living the truest form of who you are as a human being.
For now, yes. For now, yes. But I have bigger dreams. You know, I am that person. Is it? I keep setting goals of possibilities in my mind that may outpace my ancestors, that may outpace people of my kind, and all that. Um, Call it religious, a religious fervor or belief in doing the impossible. I believe so strongly, you know, I believe so strongly that my work, I want to take it to a higher level, so much higher. And coming into this space, it triggered so much. I suddenly started seeing the possibility of creating inside of the space that is so big and all of that.
Right.
And my work, the size of my work, I became more ambitious. But again, it was a trigger. Looking at all the artwork around here was a huge trigger for saying to myself, I need to do more. You know, being challenged, because you're looking at literally the competition. Every day you step into the studio. It became a trigger that could cause anxiety, that could become a drive. I tell people I'm like a vampire. I feed off people's energy. So all the energy of the artwork at the Torpedo Factory Art Center, it comes into play in triggering me to want to create more, to do more, to be more. So yeah, this is where I am for now.
So it's a healthy balance.
It is. It, for now, you know, I embrace now, but I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm excited about new spaces, you know, bigger spaces. Beyond here, beyond now. Okay, maybe this could be one of those spaces, but the vision in my mind is bigger than this space.
And this is a beautiful segue. So you speak about vision and having a bigger vision. So let's go back to Anthony in high school. So in high school, if we did a career assessment with you in high school, what occupation would that career assessment, or what occupations, right, would that career assessment reflect, you think?
Occupations in what way? What do you mean?
And what type of job would it reflect that you would be best aligned with? Or best aligned with.
Oh, best aligned with. Well,
and this is you as a teenager, because right now you're saying you have bigger dreams, bigger aspirations than where you are right now. So as a teenager, when you had, you know, I'm sure you had a vision, you know, coming through school, you know, writing your exams, getting ready to go to university. If we go back and we do the career assessment at that point, right, which occupations would the career assessment reflect?
Well,
would it say,
you see, now thinking back makes me realize, like every teenager, I was mixed up, man. I wanted to be 1,001 things. Like teenagers, they have all this zoned out way of thinking. But I created a soft landing. So my classmates were in the school set it so that if you're doing the arts, you're in certain classes. If you're doing sciences, you're in certain classes. Then if you have a mixed, you know, maybe you're in between arts and science, you have another class you go to. I was in that class where, I don't know if I'm going to become a lawyer, a medical doctor, or an artist. But one thing that is key was I had started performing at a higher level as a teenager. I was the one doing art class in my high school. So we used to have clubs for, you know, periods. I was in a boarding school, so we have times when you go for study, and inside of the study and all of that, we have time when the art club and press club, all of those clubs, debating clubs, they meet. I became the one teaching all my classmates about art. So if you, at that early age, I became that person that would speak about art history, speak about drawing and painting and all of that. So I was president of the art club from maybe SS1, you know, from maybe when I was like 15 till when I left that school. I was the one, the president of the arts club. I kept on speaking to everyone about art. I became known for that. So way back, I already knew this was something that I needed to do. This was the voice. I found my voice early. I found my voice. Every other thing became circumstantial, but they strengthened my vision. They, it was like, you're going to farm and you need tools for farming.
Right.
And every day along the way, you get new tools.
Yeah.
That makes it easier for you to till the ground, to grow the harvest and all of that.
Yeah.
So it kept happening.
Yeah.
And, but the bottom lines were these two places. From early on, it was between being a lawyer and an artist. But I realized that even being an artist becomes a place of advocacy for things that you like, for things you're fighting for
Right.
things that you strongly believe about.
Right.
So it didn't seem like a contradiction. It became fluid. Yeah, it became something I could flow into and still feel, well, I'm not doing badly as it is.
Yeah.
So my peace started happening with realizing that sometimes the way people look at things that we're familiar with, professional careers and all of that, is based on mindsets that don't fit into the time. So this was before the internet and all that, my parents were thinking about all these things and these careers and all that. They lived a different life.
Right.
Now we have the internet. We have new ways of learning that go beyond even going to school.
Right.
YouTube has enough educational material to to make you a professor in whatever field.
Right.
And all of that. So content creation and all that has allowed that people can become educated fast. So if the parent, and this is something that I see is a struggle, we have our experiences, but again, we know also that we live in a different world from our children.
Yeah.
From these people that are being born today, they have a different sense of reality, the different way of interpreting relationship and all of that, and speaking their truth from us.
Yeah.
If, as a parent, I don't realize that, yes, I have these ideas, but can I listen to the future? See the tools of the future, how they are being used, and then say to myself, if this is the younger me in the future, how can I thrive doing what I want to do? And that's what your child is.
Right.
How can he or she thrive? Is it just becoming a lawyer? There is a lot of things now that might not have been addressed 10 years ago, that are being addressed in a second with AI and Google and all of that. So if we don't embrace the language of the future, which is what's happening in front of us, it becomes difficult to be fluid, to communicate. So even though you have your truth about where and what you want your child to do, and allowing that child the freedom and all that, you can't speak in a coherent way, in a way that your child will connect with, or with the realities on the ground.
Right.
With the realities on the ground. And it takes generosity from the parents sometimes to realize, let me be out of this child's hair. If I don't know it, let me first acknowledge that I don't know where this person is going, and try to learn.
Right.
Learn speak in the same language as your children.
Right.
If you can, then it will be easier for you to let the child flow the way he needs to flow, or point this child in the directions that would help in growth.
Yeah.
As an immigrant, which is where I am, man, it's priceless that I keep reconnecting with my role models, and role models becomes something that has become bigger because you find that some spaces take opportunity to shut up certain voices or to amplify certain voices. It becomes a power tool. Education and knowledge becomes a power tool that is either released or suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
So you're, as a person thinking into my future, into my son's future,
Mm-hmm.
I would want that person to think beyond the possible, to dream.
Yeah.
And in dreaming, that's where you're achieving greatness beyond what the system might allow,
Right.
instead of what the system might allow. You are achieving greatness. Because if you wake up every day and you're surrounded by people that reached a certain level of growth and all of that and didn't go beyond that, and they are your role models that you keep holding on to and all of that, you're not going to be better than those people. You're not going to go beyond those people. You will feel, well, the same thing, my uncle is in jail, my dad is this, and all of that and all of that. How can you don't see yourself going beyond that. But for me, it came with religion.
Right.
And in certain communities, children also key into this cultural way of upbringing that connects you with higher aspirations. Me, it was much more tied to religion and culture. A culture of excellence, a culture of prestige, a culture of going beyond every other person, seeing myself as a king, all of this. That culture, and religion puts it succinctly, but culture is something that is very immediate, that happens with how you have conversations with older ones, your grandparents, your parents, and people in the village. All of that excellence, seeing the possibility of all of that, makes it something that is possible, that you could ascribe to.
Okay. I love that. So you covered a lot of things, right? One of the things that you covered was sort of like the overlap between, I guess, the gray area between the legal world and the art world, right? Which is where we are kind of with AI and, the early stages of AI and how that overlap happens, right? So I love that you kind of dipped in and dipped out of that.
Okay.
So here's my question. My question is a little bit more foundational, right? So as an artist, right, who has you've been in a household where there's art, there's the law, and the law kind of overlaps with just about everything, right? The law is everywhere that we go. So I'm curious about the tools, because you spoke about the tools and you spoke about the harvest and the farmer. So as an artist, you have your tools, right? You have your paint, your brushes, your pencils. How important are those tools for you to express yourself, right? Versus, and this is where I'm going with it. Like if you went the way of a lawyer, right? The lawyer, you get your law books and you do your research and you can type and you can do all this stuff, right? But all these different mediums that you have, all these different avenues that you have to kind of express yourself artistically, tactile, you know what I mean? Where you're different paints and different palettes and different canvases and all this stuff. Like, talk to me about that. Like, how important is it for you to be hands-on as you're working on something to, express an idea or emotion or situation?
I don't know if is it like about talking about craftsmanship, being a worthy craftsman, knowing your tools very well. That becomes foundational.
Yeah.
That speaks to the relevance of an education. I'm not saying formal or informal, education, where you learn about what makes you more coherent. Well, it's a no-brainer, because like I'm at home and my father has this library of books, of law books from everywhere.
Right.
He inherited a law firm from his uncle my uncle established this law firm in 1935.
Okay.
He inherited that with books that had like extant laws of the land, so connecting it with being an artist, I realized that knowledge is priceless and all knowledge works. And then I was fortunate, like back in university, to be in a place where they kept my lecturers, my professors kept us conscious that the visual arts and the performing arts are related. Psychology is related, you know. All of these things come together. The world is one unit. Art draws inspiration from the world. So we will when they will give us themes like Rhapsody in Blue. Hey, this is the exam piece for the third year students. You have to create a piece that speaks about Rhapsody in Blue. I'm supposed to make a painting, Rhapsody in Blue. Okay, there is the music, Rhapsody in Blue. I was that student. Instead of just painting in blues and all that, I would do, I don't know what I would call it. Was it a Google search then? I would go to the library and I would research. I would use the indexes and look for every reference to blue and Rhapsody that I could find anywhere. Music, color theory, psychology, poetry, literary books. I went. So all my classmates, they have given us Rhapsody in Blue. They have started painting in blue. And it's a 3 days exam, because they give us painting exams that might be like 3 days, you know, stretch. So you can finish it in 1 day and go home, or you can just gradually keep working. But everybody is painting in the studio. Anthony is in the library reading. So I'm reading, finding out. I will go and ask questions like, okay, my professor has something in his mind. Let me even get close to whatever references that he may be interested in. So he has seen other paintings in blue and all of that. I will look for all of those paintings. This is me questioning this mindset. And I will find all those paintings. I will find all those references. First day is gone. Anthony has not painted a thing. Second day, I'm still reading. I'm reading poems. I'm, reading psychiatry. Reading language around the word blue. I won't paint anything. People have finished their paintings that second day. Some are still struggling with their painting. Third day, I'm on fire. Because the ideas are a million. Now it's putting it into one. I became that student that would, for an exam piece that demanded for one work, I will produce 3. And I will tell the professor, choose anyone you want. This is my exam piece. And there will be 3 totally different angles of looking at that thing. I was fortunate that my professors always expected a little bit more from me. One actually said to me, Anthony, if I expect 1 painting from other people, I expect 3 from you. I already, so it seemed early on that the expectation to be more was on me. But I embraced it. I embraced criticism. I embraced, and my best friends were those that we fought, and because I was questioning and I loved, that curiosity. So my materials, all my materials and all of that, I liked people questioning it. But I needed at every point in time to pay close attention, but not think just in one line, in one way. I needed to think universally to realize that art has a place in daily living. that is very, very mundane, and at the same time that can be elevated to the highest level, depending on how you want to take it,
Right.
depending on where you want to take the conversation to. And it doesn't make this one less important or more important. It just means we're communicating. That sense that you're connecting with people and sharing and all that. But my tool kept on getting stronger as I believed that it's not just using one thing, it's about using it well, again and again. Again and again. I tell people that are younger artists and all that, I tell them, if you make a mistake, don't destroy that mistake. At least not soon.
Right.
But you could just take time and look at that mistake and own every error in the mistake before you say you're going to destroy it.
Right.
So
Embrace it.
revising, but create.
Yeah.
Using of every tool makes you a master of that tool. The more you use it, the more the possibilities, the more you're fluid with using it, the more confident you are with the results that will come out and all of that. So I have some knowledge because I have used it a little bit more. I have some knowledge of color theory because I have used it a little bit more. It's not just once, it's not twice, it's not thrice. I've repeated it over and over. So when you come into my studio, over and over, I'm interrogating, I'm questioning. But it's not like I'm questioning, but with questioning, I'm also finding results that I can live with. With questioning, I'm finding possibilities that I should explore.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. So here's my final question is, what is your favorite thing about being an artist? What do you love the most? Or things?
Well. You're talking about the love of my life. Now that's a nice thing. But I think it's just the thing I love about the arts is all the possibilities of what it could be.
Yeah.
It's not what it is.
Yeah.
So it's not that I am a painter and I'm judged as a painter. I'm a photographer. I'm a film producer. No. It's the possibility of all that it could be.
Yeah.
And the best thing,
Tell me.
summary of the possibility of all that things that it could be is that I'm everyday people, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
everyday. It's
100%.
It's embracing the ordinariness of what I'm doing.
Stop for a minute. When you say you're everyday people, and I agree with you completely, do you think this is part of your personality? And how has being an artist enhanced that part of you? Because I would agree with you. If I had to describe you, I would describe you as, just very authentic, very human, down to earth, grounded.
Well, it's pedigree. It comes from my father speaking into my life, my mother, my grandfather speaking into my life, and me embracing these thoughts.
Absolutely.
Me embracing these ideas and trying to own it in my own way. So at every point in time, I have seen that there is a possibility for greatness. But greatness, I learned earlier on, at some point I had an issue, man. I had a breakdown. I was in South Africa and I was messed up. I was feeling like I'm king of the world. I was messed up. My mind was. So I was somewhere really bad. It was a dark period in my life. I walked around, I would cover my head. What do they call it? It's a psychological thing. And I felt like everything was working for me. Life was meant about me. Everything around me and all of that. I was really self-absorbed and all that. So I was really messed up. I also say I was messed up because I knew where I was. So one day, I was just in bed, and I woke up, and it was like a voice said this to me. I just saw a cleaner. I was in a room, my room, and the cleaner came in and was cleaning the place and all that. And this voice just came to me it just came to me that, Anthony, you are a star, but you're not a star until you elevate that cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you lift up that cleaner and that cleaner serves you, that's when you become a star.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew my mind. So suddenly it was about looking out for the lowest.
Mm-hmm.
It was looking out for those that couldn't help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you validate positions of people that don't have the same privileges that you have and all that, it authenticates where you are. It
Mm-hmm.
authenticates your journey.
Right.
It speaks to your story. But again, it gives those people a place of integrity and prestige. And what next will you feel but humble?
Mm-hmm.
I felt humbled by
Yeah,
that fact.
yeah.
So suddenly I would become the one that would rather go down on my knees
Mm-hmm.
and sit on the floor instead of sit on the high table
Yeah.
to address people, because I realized that that's a place of energy. And a lot of the issues that are driving me come from low down, not up there.
Mm-hmm.
And basic survivalist tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
They are primal, that everyone has, and if I felt that way, I see that my position is a privilege to be wherever I am. It's a possibility that I didn't really create, but I just kept embracing it. I may claim I embraced it and all that, but a lot of things were on the ground that helped me get to where I am.
Right.
And some people that I started off with, I'm from a family, large, we're 7 in my family and all that. We're not really in the same place.
Yeah.
Some are struggling, some are not struggling, and all of that. And I see, I can't put a finger on what this person did and what the other person did not do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the best thing that I could do is embracing all and realizing that if I have the opportunity to make 10 paintings, which will mean that I could have the possibility to have 10 ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and this other person can only do only one, then I could support this person that can do only one. In supporting that person, at least it helps even out everything.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my work basically and I say, okay, how much do I really need to survive daily? How much? If it's about surviving and all that, I could stop painting, I promise you, for the next 1 year. I have enough paintings that nobody has seen.
Right.
I could stop.
Yeah.
But I need to do more, because I keep thinking that my worldview has to go beyond just myself.
Mm-hmm.
It has to go into my community. It has to go to people that can't help themselves, to
Right,
people that put themselves in bad spaces and
Mhm,
all that.
mhm.
So my friend that is in prison
Yeah.
becomes my brother, becomes my responsibility.
Mhm.
Not out of any do-good kind of feeling and all that, but because you're embracing the fact that it could be you also. Having that humanity about you, not that you're special and that,
Right.
and all of that and all that, but realizing that it's just 1 second and maybe that person pulled the trigger. It's just 1 second and maybe that accident happened. And then the person is ruined for life.
Right.
It could be you. If you know it could be you, what makes you bigger than the next man? Nothing, man. Nothing. It's just, it wasn't you. So I embrace it by offering some of what I've got.
Yeah.
Offering it back to the system, offering it back to community, offering it back to people like me.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Everyday man.
Yeah. And it becomes an opportunity to speak in other tongues. It becomes an opportunity to be everybody,
Mm-hmm.
to be a man, to be a woman, a man has to think like a woman. A woman has to think like a man. A man has to think like a child. You need to grow flexible muscles with interacting. So I'm a different person depending on where. That fluidity, it's almost like a chameleon kind of lifestyle, but it allows less tension. Less tension. But then, of course, I will not lie, I have a lot of rage also. Coming from an outrage to systems that I don't get. There's a lot I can't figure out that I'm fighting with, and all of that. I have all of that in my head. It's just somewhat under the table, somewhat under the skin, but it's there. These tensions, these conflicts, and
does this drive your work?
Totally. That's it's key. So my solo exhibition in Nigeria just ended last 2 weeks, and I sold paintings, and when I think about the material cost, it didn't do so well, as in if I had sold them from my studio here. But the fact of engaging with that space, interacting with that space, with people that speak the same language, that are passing through, that have aspirations triggered by all the situation in the country and all of that, speaking to their reality, it's priceless.
Absolutely.
You can't put a dime, you can't put money on it.
Nope.
So all the rage becomes important. What's life without passion? You have to be passionate about creating a better world to live with your family. Passionate about love. Passionate about life. A life that is lived without passion, you're an invisible man. You're not existing. And I want to come into it with all the energy of a black Nigerian interrogating an international space. I said this thing, none of it is undermining, none of it should be removed from any conversations about me. I'm a Nigerian, I'm black, I'm a man. And all the nuances of what it is, all the stereotyping that happens whenever I enter into any space, all the tensions that come up, all the joys, etc. I want to own every aspect of it, and it's it's in my work. I want to celebrate all of that in my work, and finding a way to do it. You see, that's why it becomes also necessary that I don't stop creating. Necessary that I realize that I haven't even started. I've not started. I've done this since I graduated from university in 1997. I feel, it's for now. It becomes a hopefulness. But also when you're thinking and you're creating positions in the future and all of that, where you hope, aspire to get to and all that, it becomes a way of living life more fully. And it looks like nobody's gonna kill you.
This is awesome, man. Thank you, Anthony. Can you tell the folks how they can connect with you?
I have a website, www.anthonynsofor.com. I have an Instagram at Anthony Nsofor, and I have a photography Instagram, T-Fire Photography. I've got content online, also that I've been trying. Like I had a blog I started in 2008. So a blog, it has about 160 essays about all things bright and beautiful, that you could always read. But I think that somewhat I have tried to interrogate, I have tried to put across ideas about everything that I have come across. Maybe or some of the things I've come across my entire life.
Yeah.
In my writings, in my paintings. It's a continuous process. So, I'm work in progress, and some of the direction of where I will be and all that. You could find those clues in my work, my painting, my talk, and where I go next. I don't know where I'm going next, but yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to it. So thank you for hosting us, for allowing us to come in here, and for being the first guest on the podcast.
Thank you, Derek. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's a wrap. Thank you.